Hey guys, Renee Davis here again, and thank you guys as always for joining me on my channel, She Sparks Change, where I say every week the whole purpose is to spark a change in your mindset that will then spark a change in your life. Now, if you don't know, I also, in addition to this video blog, have a written blog at shesparkschange.tumblr.com where I post every Monday and Thursday, just a little inspiration and encouragement for your week. Yesterday, I wrote on the topic pretty weeds, and I thought that this Tuesday video, would be a great opportunity to expound on that. While yesterday may have been the appetizer, consider today to be the meat of the matter. So sit back, relax, take a few minutes, and let's get inspired. Well, I am no green thumb, and so it's okay if you're not either, but I think we all pretty much have a working knowledge of what weeds are. Those unexpected visitors in your garden that not only take up all the space, but try to kill the life of those very things that you planted. And they can be pesky, they're unwanted, you always want to get rid of them. But what happens when those pesky weeds look a lot like pretty, beautiful flowers? I've definitely been tricked before where I was like, but no, it's so beautiful. What do you mean it's a weed? And so for a while, we may allow it to stay there, not really understanding the difference between that and the real thing, until eventually we see the effect that it has on the rest of the garden. A lot of times that can be us in life, where we are looking at our lives, seeing these beautiful things growing in different areas of our life and not realizing that they're actually weeds. Pretty weeds, in fact. And so what are some detectors? How can you tell the difference between good and God? How can you tell the difference between those things that are going to prosper you and push you forward closer to your purpose and those things that are only going to entangle you and keep you behind? Well, here are 3 detectors. Ineffective work. That's our first detector. Well, what do I mean by that? Have you ever been driving down the road for a good amount of time and you suddenly realize that you've been going in the wrong direction that whole time? So you have to make a U-turn in order to head in the right direction and get to the right destination? Or maybe you have tried out a new exercise that everybody swears by because it tones you up and makes your belly all flat and makes you feel good, but every time that you try it, you just don't get the same results. That's basically ineffectiveness. And a lot of times that can happen in life where we're pouring so much into something, whether it be our time, our efforts, our talents, and we're going at it and we're being consistent, but it's not really effective in drawing us closer to fulfilling the destiny that God has for our lives. And some of those opportunities look so good. They're amazing. They make you feel or appear as though you're doing something that can change the world. But if it's not what God has for you, it's simply a pretty weed. Detector number 2. Pretty weeds do a lot of talking, whether you knew it or not. They do a lot of asking. But the funny thing is, they don't do much listening. In fact, the only thing that they're able to hear is your yes. No's are simply unacceptable. And so when you find yourself in positions in which you absolutely cannot say no, that is a pretty weed. Henry Cloud in his book Boundaries has a fabulous quote that has literally changed my life. He basically says, if you can't say no, then you can't say yes. And what that means is, when you do things out of obligation and not because you feel called to do those things or walking in wisdom to do those things, then you can't say yes because you don't have the freedom to say yes. When you're saying yes to a commitment, that means that you're walking in the freedom and the authority to say yes to that thing. So there may be a lot of obligations in your life that are clamoring for your attention, but be careful about the ones that you say yes to. Not, of course, that you should say no to everything, but be careful of those good things that aren't God things that are asking for your attention. And finally, detector number 3. They're all about the characteristic of weeds. They grow very, very fast. A lot faster than flowers do. In fact, that's how they're able to take control of the garden and choke out the good things or the things that you intended to grow in the first place. And so when it comes to your life, what are the things that seem to be growing completely out of control so fast, where all of a sudden you have no idea how in the world you just invested so much time, so much of your resources, so much of your commitment to something that has just ballooned completely out of control? For example, maybe one day you had an idea for a project, you throw it out there, and the next day, all of a sudden you become the project manager. How in the world did you get all that responsibility overnight when all it started with was a small idea? Or maybe you decided to join a committee, as a little hobby, a little thing on the side, something to take up your time, and now all of a sudden you guys are meeting 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, and you have no idea where this came from. Well, my friends, can I tell you, as pretty as those things are, they are simply weeds. So now that we know what to detect to be able to distinguish these pretty weeds, what do we do about it? Well, just like those weeds in your garden, you're gonna have to uproot them. And I'm not talking just cut it off at the head so you don't see the flowering of it, or cut it down to the place in which it meets the top of the soil. But you literally have to uproot that bad boy. Get out that shovel and get it from its roots. Otherwise, it's gonna grow back again. And when it grows back, sometimes it brings along its aunties and its cousins and its nephews and nieces until it's completely taken over your garden. That's why it's so important to get it from the root. And part of getting that thing from the root, part of being able to get rid of all of your pretty weeds, is using wisdom. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And in all thy getting, get understanding." And so that basically means you have to use wisdom. Use wisdom when it comes time to uproot those things out of your life. Use wisdom when you're having to create boundaries on certain relationships. Use wisdom when it comes to creating boundaries on your time and your commitments. That's the only way that you can make it. You have to simply ask God, is this something that's from you, or is it something that I desire? Is this a good thing, or is this something that just appears to be good? Get understanding about those things in your life that are usurping all of your energy and your time. Get understanding from Him. Sometimes there are things in your life that require hard work, and they are from God. Don't get rid of those things. But then there are things that are ineffective, those things that have nothing to do with God's purpose for your life. And so get an understanding of that, ask Him about it, pray on it, and trust His answer when He gives it to you. Yes, it's sometimes painful, but it's always worth it. Just like that nasty medicine that your mom used to give you when you were sick as a child, for me it was that nasty Robitussin. As much as you didn't like to swallow it, you knew that that was going to be the very thing that made you all better. So, be encouraged, good people. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and also make sure you tell everybody that this is where they can come every Tuesday to get inspired. Love you guys with the love that comes from the one up above. Have a fabulous day. Bye.